Okay, so this day is quickly coming to a close. Just a few thoughts on things I did today. Besides the normal routine stuff that everybody else does as well, like cutting grass, which I absolutely hate doing, by the way. I had a chance to run through my mind some things I wanted to do and things that I can't do. And I sat down and thought about if I could only achieve one thing for myself this year with regards to firearms training or anything like that, what would it be? What would be something? What would be a goal I could set for myself and work towards, and think hopefully that I could achieve it and be a form of self-improvement as well. As we all know, as we get older, cognition may decline, and there are ways to help try and keep it going longer. I recently read something about how people learn to write with their non-dominant hand in order to build new neural pathways and fight off cognitive decline in their senior years. Thought long and hard about that over the last little while, and I have started learning to print with my non-dominant hand, with my opposite hand, which in this case is my left hand. But I thought, what if I could apply it to other things too? So part of the process was me thinking, well, I do shoot my non-dominant hand sometimes, not as much as we should, and I'm fairly confident with some of my firearms, but I'm thinking, why not set a goal and a standard and set up a training plan just for me to try and achieve? So that's kind of what I did. At the latter part of the afternoon, I snuck out for a couple hours and I started drafting up a plan for just that goal. And the goal is to be as competent with my non-dominant hand, my left hand, as I am with my right hand with a single action revolver, which of course is kind of like my favorite handgun to shoot all the time anyways. Yeah, I have more options. Some of you aren't so lucky, but that's the way I'm going to approach this. Is I want to be just as good with my left hand as I am with my right hand with my single action revolvers, which is my handgun preferred of choice for a number of reasons. And maybe at the end of this video, I'll explain why they are my preferred choice. But for now, take a moment, watch through the videos. And this is drafting it out. This is me talking to myself. There's no one else around, and setting up the starting point and the plan and formulating how I'm going to make this come to be. I'm going to set a goal. I'm going to start designing a training plan, and then I'm going to get on with the training. And this is just the start of it. Yeah, it may be entertaining, it may not, or maybe it'll give you some ideas for yourself. Have a watch. So the sole purpose of today's training is to start the process of learning to master, of course, my favorite style of handgun, the single action revolver, left-handed. We don't put enough emphasis on the possibility of having to do everything left-handed, and there's a practical reason why to learn how to operate and manipulate your personal firearm with your non-dominant hand, and we'll talk about that as time goes on, but that's where this starts today. So, naturally, I'm going to keep records. I'm going to standardize some ammunition so I can shoot some targets for score, and identify, basically the difference between my strong hand, one-handed, and my non-dominant or weak hand, one-handed, to give me reference points. Now, score isn't the only portion of this. Part of this is based on the mechanics of manipulating the gun. And if you're familiar with the single action revolver, it's actually more conducive to load it and unload it left-handed than it is right-handed, because the loading gate is on the right-hand side. In any case, this is where the training day starts, July 2026, and we'll progress along as it goes. Okay, so it took a bit of time, 6 shots, support hand only, not from the holster, just 6 shots. It's sort of bullseye style. This is my first strong hand only target in a long time. That's with the Ruger Single 6 and CCI Mini Mag ammunition. I'm not disappointed in that. It feels awkward though. So we look at the score. That's all 10s. down 1, down 2, so down 3 out of possible 60 is 57, right? 57 out of 60 possible points at 10 meters. And that's my first 4 record score if I continue to use these targets and progress with my training. Over here is my strong hand only. And, this is pretty much par for the course I would expect with this gun with my strong hand. It was much quicker because it is more comfortable to me. It is much more mastered. And if you look at it, all 6 shots and it's only down 1. So that's 59 out of 60. And if I continue to use this style of target for record scores, I'll continue to do it this way. Once in a while, I'll shoot one of these just to see how things progress. Everything's going to go back to working on the mechanics of manipulating the gun with my non-dominant hand to get to the point where I feel comfortable and equally capable with the firearm in either hand under all conditions. That's my training goal. Okay, so this target is one shot draws from the holster. That's 30 rounds, so that's 30 repetitions. Mathematically, if you worked it all out and did 6 on a bullseye target to start, and then the rest other types of drills, and then 6 at the end, you got 12, you got 38 rounds to play with. Okay, in a 50-shot session, in one 50-shot session, which is not too bad price-wise when you're shooting the little dinky ones like these 22s. Can get expensive if you're shooting the 45 Colt. So this is a good training model for me. It gives me a chance to work on the intricacies of my weak hand performance to make it equal to my strong hand performance in time. And this is where I've started today. Now I did fire 6 rounds strong hand, 1-shot draws from the holster just as a reconfirmation. And then we're going to finish off with a 6-round bullseye right now to end the training session. Okay, so there's the final results, end session of the day. 6 rounds, bullseye style, okay, one-handed. So I was down 1, down 3, down 6. Puts me at 54. Not off. Again, it's not really relevant what type of target it is. If you're consistent in using it, it gives you a number to track to see if you're improving. And these are just handy targets at the moment. You can choose whatever target you want to do it for your training style. That's the idea, though, is use a scoring target. That way you can track the scoring. Gives you some measure as you go. If you're not doing time, at least you're doing score. And that is the end of my training session. So it's a day later, but we're at the end of the day again. The sun has already gone down. Yeah, just sitting down, taking care of some of the last minute things for the day, like pulling weeds in the garden, having a little fire, drinking a little water. So I did say that I would, at some point in time, explain why the single action revolver. So it kind of goes like this. In the course of my lifetime, I've had the opportunity to shoot a lot of guns, and I was fascinated by the mechanics of every firearm that I ever handled. But as a very young soldier, I got the chance to shoot what is known as a Ruger Single 6. That was probably the first time I had ever really handled a cowboy-style gun or a single-action revolver or something that resembles a peacemaker. And what I can tell you is that even that first experience, totally novice, I shot it really well. I didn't recognize it at the time, but I did shoot it very well. The only difficulty was, as I went on in life, it wasn't going to be the driving factor for me. I got into the military world and competitive shooting. Of course, you learn to shoot the Browning high power, and then as later in life, you learn to shoot everything under the sun because all of your friends have their own favor and flavor of guns. Right? But later in life, After doing all that and getting through all the competitive shooting and the stuff that was part of my job in the military and that sort of thing, I realized that, you can make life easy for yourself when you find something that becomes natural to you and you work at it. You get better with it faster. That's why the single action revolver. I have all the other options. I do. Okay? But truthfully, the one that I feel most comfortable with and that I shoot well with the least amount of effort has been and probably will be the single action revolver of the Peacemaker style, specifically the Ruger product line. I've shot others, whether it's Pieta or any other companies that make them. Other people have had them. I've had the chance to try them. And the truth of the matter is, it didn't matter which single action revolver it was, it always just worked for me. So here I am later in the stages of life, and I want to train and get better with it and treat it like I did when I was competing. I designed my own program so that I can be that person who is 100% competent with it. And now I'm working on being 100% competent with it with both hands, under all conditions. That's why the single action revolver. Really. Now, for entertainment value, okay, I'm also a zombie apocalypse fan. And I know people say, the zombie apocalypse is never going to happen. And that's okay. You can say that, just like I can say, one day I'm going to win the lottery. I keep buying lottery tickets, and it may actually happen, or it may go to my grave a poor man. But the reality is I still believe that there's a possibility. And it's okay to believe that and the zombie apocalypse. Keep buying your lottery tickets. From the entertainment side of that, okay, if you look at Sylvester Stallone in the first movie, The Expendables, he rocked the single action revolver as one of the heroes of the show. Don Johnson in Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, he rocked the single action revolver as one of the heroes. You go all the way back to the cowboy era, the John Wayne, you know what? There is a guy who rocked the single action revolver. Okay. It is part of the Hollywood genre, and it doesn't have to be the cowboy way. It just happens to be that some people use it as an icon and it catches your eye. For me, one of the things I can say is I love the rugged simplicity of the single action revolver, and I understand the value of it in the sense of days of old when you kept the firearm on you for personal defense under all circumstances. The single action revolver has taken the test of time and has proven itself. And even though the mechanism is technically simple, it is technically challenging to master. I find it harder to master than a semi-automatic handgun, for example. I find it harder to master than a double action revolver. It has some intricacies to it that you have to train through. And that's always the way I've kind of approached things. I like to do the stuff that's hard. Given that, if I had to survive through an economic collapse, or like the earthquake episodes in Venezuela, or the nuclear war with Russia, all of that, when things are not the way they are now, my thoughts is the perfect system for me would be a large caliber single action revolver, like a Ruger Blackhawk or a Vaquero in 45 Colt, as an on-person carry. The big calibers lighten the guns, still have the impact that you need. Okay, in terms of energy and ammunition. And then I would probably sport either a matching caliber rifle or a 22 caliber rifle. The rifle is not going to be on your person 24/7 unless you're in a real combat zone. Okay, the rifle is nice. It's going to feed you. It's going to do a lot of things. But the truth of the matter is when you have chores to do, get water, grow food, look after critters, anything, fix equipment, you're going to set the rifle or shotgun down because you need two hands free. And I find that having a single action revolver on my person as a last resort is probably a good plan. And I think a 45 Colt single action revolver will do everything that a rifle would do in close range, in short distance, just as well, in circumstances where, for say, you were being attacked by a zombie or a hungry black bear or a starving dog, or it'll get the job done. Okay, but you have to master the skills. It's kind of my driving force behind it. Other people are going to have, it's okay. If you think that the high capacity 9mm SIG 230 is your zombie apocalypse, that's cool. Train with it to the same level. Get as good with it as you can be in both hands. Okay. I don't think you're going to find a carbine in 9mm that's going to be as reliable as you would like it to be. But you know what? Pick what you choose, train with it well, and use what you have to the best of your abilities. Me, I've chosen the single action revolver. Okay. I like the single 6 because I can use it to train inexpensively with relatively cheap 22 caliber ammunition that also works in my rifle, and I can use it as a training tool in preparation for shooting my large Ruger Blackhawk or my Ruger Vaquero in 45 Colt, and it's a little bit more money to shoot that ammunition downrange on a regular basis. That's the logic behind it. That's the reason why I do it, and it's just plain fun. Now, one last note. If you're in this part of the world where the rules have changed and you didn't get in the game before the rules changed, meaning you didn't have the government permission slip, you ran out and tried to get one but didn't get one in time, and you are not one of the eligible legal handgun owners. In terms of the zombie apocalypse, if I could give you one word of advice, find someone who is. Ask them to teach you how to use the very basics of a semi-automatic 9mm handgun. Because if the economic collapse does come, or let's say an asteroid hits Seattle, or Russia attacks North America, there's going to be plenty of those around. Lots of semi-automatic 9mm employed by security and law enforcement and militaries around the world. And if you can learn the basics, okay, and I mean the basics, load it, make it ready, shoot it at least at a minimum distance of 3 to 5 yards, and unload it and carry it safely in a holster, you'll be all right. And that's the short course. If you can get that under your belt, the rest you're going to learn the hard way when the zombies are trying to claw their way in through your door. That's my only advice to you. Find someone you trust who already has the equipment and get the very basic, rudimentary, bottom of the line cookie cutter training so that when the time comes, if you need to, you can take one off of a cadaver somewhere or out of a car or wherever it shows up in time of need. And you can make it work to save your own life or someone else's life. Okay? You're not going to master the skills of the double action revolver or the single action revolver, and there aren't going to be a plethora of them laying around for you to pick up anyways. Okay? If you got to, semi-automatic 9mm, at least get out, shoot one once, learn the basics of load, make it ready, shoot it, unload it, make it safe, and safely carry it in a holster. Clear as mud. That's the end of the lecture. I'll keep you up to date as I finalize the training plan for my single action revolver training for this summer, setting goals for myself. Okay? You can copy it if you want. Do the same with any other handgun. Outside of that, the fire's out. I'm going to call it a day.